Hello, I'm Louis Cristofano, and this is Crash Course World History Junior. And today we're going to talk about how Suleiman the Magnificent strengthened the Ottoman Empire to be as great as it ever was through administration, ideology, and military approaches. Suleiman ruled from 1520 to 1566 and led the Ottoman Empire to its peak during that time period. But before Suleiman, his father, Selim the Great, ruled and did a nice job himself. He came to power in 1512. So while Spain's Hernan Cortez was dealing with the Aztec Empire over in the New World, Selim conquered Mecca, Medina, and then Cairo, which at the time was considered the intellectual capital of the Muslim world. Selim set his son Suleiman up for success by conquering Islam's holy cities. Many times, historic figures get their cool nicknames a long time after they've lived, and they don't even know they have such nicknames. However, Suleiman was known as the Magnificent during his lifetime, so that's how we know he was a true legend. Like his father, Suleiman was also a savvy military leader. He began conquering early because in 1521 he had already conquered the vital European city of Belgrade. The following year, his Turkish forces captured an island in the Mediterranean called Rhodes and now dominated the entire eastern Mediterranean. As we know, Suleiman had a great military, but he was best with his navy. With his navy, he conquered Tripoli and many other North African people. Although the Ottomans only occupied the North African coast, they controlled trade routes on the interior of the entire continent. And by 1526, Suleiman had advanced into Austria and Hungary, which caused havoc in Central Europe. Not done yet, Suleiman kept pushing to the border of Vienna, Austria. Suleiman now became the most powerful monarch on the globe. So we can take a look at where he ruled here. He ruled from Istanbul, and he kind of controlled the entire eastern Mediterranean here and all the trade within Africa. Even though they were only on like the North African coast, they controlled all this in here, and he ruled from Istanbul, but he controlled the whole eastern Mediterranean. And so now he became the most powerful, and he ruled from Istanbul, like I said. This caused him to make many enemies, including Central Europeans, North Africans, and Central Asians. Now that we've covered how great Suleiman was with his military, we can talk about what Suleiman is probably best known for, how he ruled all this land successfully. To do this, he created a law code that handled criminal and civil actions, as well as simplifying and limiting taxes, and systemizing and reducing government bureaucracy. He did not allow imprisonment without a trial. His law code also had penalties for various criminal acts, like bureaucratic corruption and financial corruption. The Sultan he ran had 20,000 personal slaves that staffed the palace bureaucracy. These slaves were acquired in part of a devshirme system. The Sultan's army drafted people of the conquered Christian territories. They educated them, converted them to Islam, and then trained them as soldiers. There was also an elite force of 30,000 soldiers known as the Janissaries that were trained to be loyal to the Sultan only. They had amazing discipline, which made them key to Ottoman warfare. However, the Janissaries eventually realized their importance and desired a better life. By the early 17th century, they had so much prestige and influence that they dominated the government. They had the ability to change sultans through palace coups. They also limited the enlistment to the sons of former Janissaries who didn't have to take the original training, and avoided physical selection. This decreased their military value. Once the Janissaries could practically take money straight from the Sultan, they became extremely ineffective combat warriors. This led to the shrinking of the empire. However, this was after Suleiman's rule. Would you look at that? It's time for the open letter. Let's look in the secret compartment. A Janissary hat. Dear Janissaries, I know you wanted a better life, and rightfully so, but you became too power hungry and forgot how valuable you were militarily. It is fun to be superior, and you should have enjoyed everything that came with that, but you forgot what made you superior, and you lost your military excellence. Sincerely, Louis Cristofano. Thanks for watching. I'm Louis Cristofano, your host. Our producer is Emmy Stoy, our set designer is Ali Lee, and our researcher/graphic artist is Francis Liu. I'll see you next week.